Sabote, this is Jeff.
This is David.
Hi, David.
Hi, Jeff.
I want to talk to you about a really cool cartoon show that's super awesome. Instead of a video game.
You may
what
have
we usually do.
You may have mentioned it to me a time or two.
Recently on Netflix, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power reached its conclusion. It's done. They finished their run, and it was so good and emotionally satisfying. And I'm sure that you have read the clickbait title of the video at this point, so you know the general premise, which is that She-Ra is one of the most Christian shows I've seen in a long time.
Yep.
And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that won't watch it because it has gay people in it.
Oh no!
Did you know that there is some sort of cultural conflict between those two ideologies?
I might be professionally aware of it, yeah.
Professionally aware of this.
Yeah.
So, would I say that I think that She-Ra is an especially Christian show? I mean, the actual Christ-like values that it sort of espouses. That is to say, espouses kind of has two meanings. Jokes.
Oh my god.
Just in general, the show is very good, and I finished the series, and after binge watching it over one day when the last season came out, and then just had a moment of just staring at the wall and being like, well, now it's done.
Mm-hmm.
The post good thing sadness that I mentioned,
yes,
which can happen. It's a good
PGTS,
sign. It means
yeah.
yes, that it's a good sign because it means something that was actually like really good. I can remember like getting this after like, you know, finally like watching, you know, Return of the King for the first time after having gone through all the rest of the Lord of the Rings movies and all the lead up and being like, well, now that's over.
Yep.
Can't ever watch it for the first time anymore.
Yep. Outer Wilds, wistful emptiness of an experience that can no longer see. A desiderium befalls you. A half sad saudade situation of splendor. I couldn't come up with more S words. What?
Sorry.
What is a half sad? You know what? We're getting off topic. Let's focus.
That's all right. All right. Focus. Okay. So, what do I actually mean when I say that She-Ra is a Christian show? I mean that thematically, it's very Christ-like, with the idea that love is true power. That there's actual true power in love. Choosing love being better than choosing hate and violence. That people can recover from bad experiences and choices and trauma, that people can come back from the bad choices they've made, that there is forgiveness that's available, like freely available, that mercy is something to be desired and sought after.
Yeah.
You know?
Not a sign of weakness? Yeah.
It's not a sign of weakness. There's one of the characters in the show whose name is Perfuma because they have all on-the-nose names.
Uh-huh.
But that's okay. She says that in a very emphatic way that love that she has for other people and her friends is her greatest strength, not her weakness. Because at least character-wise at that point, there was a lot of concern about the practical realities of solving their situation, where we need force and violence and cleverness in order to basically win.
You're wrong. There's power, real power in love, joy, and friendship. Friendship isn't a weakness. It's my greatest strength.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the idea of the upside down kingdom, which is kind of a modern derived theology of Christianity. So this is the idea that Christ is, in all of his interactions and teachings, is showing sort of an inverted view of traditional power structures.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like the all-powerful God of the universe, but it shows up as, you know, a tiny baby in a manger, specifically, to a bunch of poor people, right?
Mm-hmm.
That has, he's going to, become the conquering king, that will defeat death and sin and the enmity between creation by dying.
Right. Yeah.
by having him when he's like, tempted by the devil, and the famous story in the Gospels, he's constantly being shown like, here is basically the evil that rules the systems that control our lives, whether they be desire, selfishness, tribalism, political structures, and all that kind of stuff, and Satan's there saying like, hey, this can all be yours, just worship me, and Jesus is like, nah, that's okay. I got my own thing going on here. No,
I'm good.
So yes, the last temptation of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
If this is not the exact theological point that was being made in the book, then I apologize. This just kind of my mind was drawn to it as a concept. The sad truth of it is that a lot of Christian people specifically probably won't watch the show just because it has gay people in it, which just sucks.
Yeah,
that's just dumb.
Yes.
I could gush all day about how the actual show is very, very good, because it has the conclusion of it satisfies the two pillars of storytelling, one of which is often neglected, which is you have to have a satisfying plot conclusion and a satisfying character conclusion.
Right. Those don't happen outside of books.
It's very, very infrequently.
Yeah.
And even in books sometimes not. But
yeah.
There's just a lot more books, so to speak, than examples of movies or video games, which are relatively younger media,
right?
That kind of thing. A lot of people that have sort of divisive opinions on the endings of shows, it usually comes down to them strongly preferring one over the other and finding that part was fine and that the other part didn't really matter to them. So I think of something like, I don't know, the one that comes to mind to me is Lost. We don't have to dig up that grave. But I found that incredibly unsatisfying from like a plot perspective, because it was basically just nonsense thrown at the wall.
Yeah.
And the whole ending with like the multiple religious symbols is all corny as hell. But anyways.
Yeah, it's almost like they didn't have an ending when they started. Weird.
But if you're only invested in like some of the characters and you really wanted to see like some sort of catharsis for, a few of your favorite characters, and then you thought that you got that, and like, oh yeah, this is a great emotional catharsis, good times. And you're like, but no, you guys, if you actually analyze it, what happened to the numbers and this thing was mentioning the time travel, but then the boat and then this things, and it's just like, it doesn't even matter. And I digress. That's Lost. Never mind.
It's Mass Effect 3 for me. Like, Tali's story conclusion, like the whole Geth Quarian story conclusion, was really all I cared about. So I got that. I was like, I don't have to beat it. I'm good.
Yeah, I can see that. I was a little unsatisfied with the ending of Mass Effect 3, but probably not for the same reasons that most of the internet was. It did seem just kind of like it was an almost impossible task to make a satisfying plot conclusion to something that had Mass Effect is very, very good lore. Very good deep lore.
Yep. All right, we should focus.
Yeah, focus. I'm gonna say. Then I was gonna start talking about Dragon Age and how the lore is also very good, but then the plot doesn't necessarily have to be the complete end of all lore.
Right.
They can still tell a story that has major consequences, without it being like universe changing. I digress.
Right.
By the stone, I thought I was done for.
Anyways, let's talk about modern Christianity and gay people.
Whew. Well,
that is definitely too broad of a topic to cover here.
Let's talk about the topic you put in, which was Christian media.
Yes,
which is as a person who works at a church and does praise and worship music on a regular basis as part of their job, and has friends and family who love consuming media aimed at Christians. Christian media is almost without exception subpar.
Yes, it is almost always extremely bad and pandering in a way that, as someone who is Christian, finds extremely cringy and grating.
Yep. Like, everybody who's not a Christian in the film is just this weird straw man that's there to show how evil non-Christians are, or how they need Jesus. And even though we don't really believe in a prosperity gospel, if you do what God wants, everything's going to be great. It'll all work out. Don't you worry.
Yeah, it's like, no, totally not prosperity. It's like, no. It's not that you believe in God, so you get $1 million. But maybe you'll be a little bit more attractive. Maybe a girlfriend or boyfriend will be there for you. Maybe. Yeah, I'm just saying maybe.
Maybe you'll get
asking questions here, you know?
Maybe you'll get the girl whose worth in every piece of Christian media is determined by her attractiveness and ability to have kids.
That's not exclusive to Christian media.
It's not, but it's especially egregious. And there are people who do Christian things that aren't part of, like, the Christian media thing. Like Michael Gungor and his wife, the music they make is phenomenal and amazing. We cannot play it at church because it doesn't fit the formula.
My soul cries out. My soul cries out.
Also because it is hard to play. So
yeah,
like,
that's also a consideration. But
yeah, so Adam Neely had a phenomenal video about praise and worship music being bad. So.
If you want to go into a deep dive specifically on the genre of, like, contemporary Christian worship music, and agree with a lot of the things that were said in this. We don't have to necessarily just go watch the Adam Neely video.
And just for reference, all the things he talks about having a problem with, I have had arguments with coworkers about.
So yes, Christian media is usually bad, mostly because it's been sanitized and commodified in such a way that, and also extremely closely tied with various parts of Western culture and capitalism and all this other stuff. So everything gets kind of it gets packaged together into. And so the lines between what things are Christian values and what things are, just the power systems of the world, it gets way too close together.
It's based on a very specific and relatively narrow theology, because, as you said, it's sanitized. It's the bit of theology they can market without having to deal with the fact that they're not following it at all in the creation of the material.
So that is also, like, a gigantic topic.
Yeah, we're not going to get too far into that now.
But the point is that when I think of Christian media, if I think of it as things that have Christian themes that are, like, showing Christ-like regard for other human beings, do not dehumanize your enemies, and to show love, mercy, and compassion to other people.
Right.
Even especially people that are not in your group. So to try and break down the concepts of tribalism and, to try and expand your own notion of self to include others. And
right.
Like, it's, okay. I have an example. It's called She-Ra, the Princess of Power. It was extremely satisfying in the end. Why don't we reference that?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Do you need first aid? Do you need to be nursed tenderly back to health?
The separate point that I'd like to make, this doesn't apply to just this, but just because it's a kid's show, it should not rule out its profundity. Because art, entertainment, art, any kind of thing like that, ultimately it's made by people, okay? Real human beings, So, like, if you're watching, like, a kid's show and then, like, there's some quote or something that speaks to you and you're like, oh, yeah, that is pretty profound. You don't have to be like, well, let me go find, some continental philosopher that said it so that it's legitimate wisdom. It's
so you're not embarrassed.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I think about things that Uncle Iroh has said from Last Airbender all the time.
Yep.
Pride is not the opposite of shame, but its source. True humility is the only antidote to shame.
What is the point of this whole video? Like, what do I actually want to get out of this, other than just being like generally just a recommendation?
Like watch She-Ra, yes.
I want to have something else come out of it, and this is more of a conviction from a Christian perspective. Because if you haven't, I mean, we talk about being Christians a lot on the show. It's just, I mean, we don't do, I don't know. It's not like explicitly Christian content, right? No. It is because we're Christians.
Yeah, we're just.
Okay. Let me redefine what I mean. Because we're Christians and we're doing stuff, then yes, that's what it is.
Right.
You keep making the joke that you're a professional Christian just because you work at a church, but it's also true because.
Yeah. I have to be aware of things I wouldn't be if it weren't my job.
I have like this extra kind of, I don't know. Where it's like I want to see if this can come, if something good or better can come out of this, rather than just being like a, person says cartoon is good and complains about Christian media on the internet for a YouTube video.
There's no shortage of that, as it turns out.
It turns out, because I want to keep it positive,
right?
More so than negative. But I really would have hoped that like the comment section of this video could be sanctified, which is an extremely loaded church word.
Yeah.
So if this Christ-like idea of like Christ is in the Gospels, he's going out and he's interacting with people, and there's like some famous stories that even probably non-Christian people might know about, like he's going and hanging out with like tax collectors or sick people
or prostitutes or lepers,
and people tut-tutting about how that's not proper, and then
I think a different way of phrasing it would be, you're not able to affect any kind of change, positive or negative, by staying around the people that absolutely already agree with you.
Exactly. So get out of it. Get out of the echo chamber as much as possible.
Right.
And the YouTube comments are notoriously vile and stupid.
I mean, we've gotten pretty lucky, but
rational people know the difference between being a troll or just being genuinely horrible.
The term that's come up is good faith actor, bad faith actor.
Yes. That's we'll remember that term for later.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the people of Bright Moon are going to be a little less welcoming of a Horde soldier than you led me to believe.
Maybe a little?
I believe that God has a plan for everything, as sort of machinations of fate in the universe is whatever you want to call it. And I'm not asking you who's listening to believe in my God or anything like that, but I am asking you to think about what it is that you would get out of something like this video specifically. So a sanctified comment section means that I kind of just like release it to God. Mm-hmm. I hope that it can be a place that can put more joy into the world, more love into the world, rather than taking it away from someone.
Right.
So, and that kind of far-reaching thing is something I cannot control at all. So it's just something that has to be, turned over to someone else. Someone else is in a lot more a controlling position, let's say.
Right.
I want the comment sections to be positive, but specifically I want them to be like relevant, especially if you're a Christian and you're watching this video and you feel like a little unsure or like weirdly nervous about something that's being said or brought up, then I would ask you to kind of like look inward and sort of analyze or be open-minded about why that unsureness is happening. Like if you're uncomfortable with like talking about or being around people that are gay, lesbian, transsexual, bisexual, etc., try and, because it's okay to have those feelings. It's not necessarily okay to like lash out in a violent way because of those feelings.
Right.
But recognizing that you have them there and then trying to ask yourself where they're coming from, I think is healthy.
Yeah.
And especially if you're going to make a comment or something, then, consider that the other person or that the people on the other side of the comments are, all human beings. Okay. Don't dehumanize. Yes. Very, very important.
Yeah. You're always talking to another human being. And as a Christian, the thing that my pastor always tells us is all human beings are worthy of the grace of God. It's for everybody, literally everyone. So even the people you hate.
Yes, there's value and meaning to everyone, including you, who's listening to this now. As the example that I thought of was using pronouns. Okay, this is a simple example.
Yes.
If someone wants to let's say that they want to use they them pronouns. Okay. Someone asking for that isn't about you. By which I mean that it's not about some sort of grand conspiracy to censor you or control your words or, change your perception of reality.
Right.
It's about them. And likewise, if you choose to use the pronouns for someone else, for them, it's not about the other person, it's about you. And so much as that it's you making a choice to make someone else more comfortable based on what they've said.
Right.
And you can be extremely cynical about that on both ends.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what your feelings are about, like, the political constructs or social constructs that surround the concepts that you're talking about, because it's a human being on the other side. Right. And it's like, oh, okay, you can boil it down to this. This other person said they'd be more comfortable this way, and I acknowledge that. So sure, yeah, okay,
yeah,
I'll just do it. Yeah, I'll just do it that way. That's fine.
Yeah, if you can make somebody else's existence better, why not?
Yeah,
why not?
Sure, I can physically replicate anyone, but that doesn't mean a thing if you can't be them emotionally. It's an art.
We've been doing this channel for 10 years. We recently started a Discord server. Okay.
Yes.
And there's links on the Discord server. I want the comment sections of this YouTube video to be a safe place for Christians and also LGBTQ plus people to just talk,
Right.
Ask questions or something. But that even YouTube comments can be very intimidating because it's mostly a cesspool. I get it. But we want to start a specific channel on our Discord, sort of a good faith discussion.
Yeah.
An open good faith discussion specifically for this, because there's been a crap ton of bad Christians that have done nothing but increase the pain and hurt of people, especially homosexual people. And LGBTQ plus. Okay, I use that as a metonymical association for oppressed group at large. And I can't apologize for an entire group of people like that, nor would I even try to.
Right.
Because that's completely impossible. And it also infuriates me as well, because those are people that are carrying the name of God poorly. So that makes me angry in a different way. But what I can do is try and just be offer a place where it's it's okay, we can hang out and be chill. Right. So I can do that. So try and focus on what I can do. So we'll have our Discord. Anyone can join the Discord. We also have a Patreon, which I mentioned only because there's also a patron only channel in the Discord. Normally we do our self-advertising at the end of the video. I kind of feel like we can probably
we don't have
skip
to
most
this
of
time.
that for this one. Yeah. Anyways, if anyone has questions, especially for Christian folks, or Christian folks have questions for LGBTQ plus folks, that I feel like it would be great to have a place just to do that. And I'm sure there's other places on the internet, but this is something that I felt that we could actually do.
It's a way to get very different perspectives than the talking heads you'll find.
The goal is to be a holy place. In this case, that's a church word, and just think of it as meaning a specialized, separated place. So a specialized, separated place for people to chill and be chill. Opinions are encouraged, but the goal is understanding one another, to have an interaction with other human beings, not conversion or converting people, and not even in the Christian sense, but any kind of political sense. Just hear what people have to say, and it's fine. And you can be I don't agree, and that's fine too.
Yeah,
perfectly fine.
Yeah. if you grow up in America in a Christian household, you were taught a very specific definition for what witnessing is. So we are taught...
Yes, most likely.
So we are taught from Sunday school to whatever, witnessing is going around telling people how they need Jesus. And that's it. That's your only option. Whereas in, like, that's never been an effective use case for me personally or the other people I've worked with.
I agree. I have so many thoughts related to the concept of modern Western Christian witnessing. And it's also an ongoing theological evolution within me. So things as they go, as people grow.
So I'm saying this specifically because I don't want people to think that despite everything we've said, this is like a secret we're going to make you Christians thing. No. No, we won't. This is, if you choose that, that's great.
Yes.
If not, that's fine. Like, we're not.
Yes, that is the thing. That is the thing. That's what the witness is. So it's like, okay, this is what Christ is doing. I want to also do that as much as I can. I'm not going to ask someone else to believe in a God, especially like a God they can't see. More like I want to have people see the things I do. If they appreciate it or they think it's good, and they want to know why, then I can point them to like this reason. The representatives of God are the people that believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a lot of people are very bad representatives. Breaks my heart.
Yes.
I want to not be one of those.
Yes.
So.
Accurate, yes.
So in conclusion, 18 to 35-year-old cisgendered heterosexual middle-class Protestant Christian white male thinks Netflix cartoon is kind of neat. The end.